So, today we are diving into this stack of source material that is, it's frankly just astounding in its consistency.
It really is. We've got these wisdom traditions that go back millennia. Ancient Buddhist and Indian thought, Stoics, Leo Tolstoy, and then you jump forward right up to people like Simon Sinek and Bill Simmons.
And it's this incredible cross-cultural conversation all landing on the same day, November 19th, day 323. And the theme is just so singular and vital, this idea of inner leadership.
Exactly. The whole thesis, if you boil it all down, is that self-mastery is really the only mastery that counts. Your external world, it's built from the inside out.
Right. So our mission here is to take all these powerful, sometimes kind of abstract insights and distill them into something you can actually use. We're calling it the ladder of inner
A
leadership.
roadmap.
Exactly, a roadmap, a shortcut to getting really well informed on this.
And, we can't even start climbing that ladder without figuring out where true leadership even begins. And we have this fantastic observation from Simon Sinek that it perfectly draws the line.
Oh, yeah, this is so good. Cynic says that when you listen to people who feel well led, they talk about the strength of the values. But when you listen to people who feel poorly led, what do they complain about?
Pay and benefits.
Pay and benefits, every time.
And that distinction is everything, isn't it? When people are just relentlessly focused on the external stuff, the paycheck, the title, it almost always points to an internal vacuum. They're looking for something outside to tell them they're worthy.
Right. Whereas inner leadership means you're already working from this like unshakable internal framework.
Exactly. You lead with authority because you trust your own internal architecture, not because of what your paycheck says.
It's a total shift of where your compass is located, from pointing out to pointing in.
Hmm.
And that internal state has, well, it has this inescapable consequence. That's the first rung on our ladder, the boomerang principle.
Right. What's inside always comes back. And this is where the ancient sources get very, very specific, especially about internal malice. Tolstoy makes this fascinating distinction in his Calendar of Wisdom.
What does he say?
He says that the material evil you do to someone else, the visible act, that may or may not boomerang back to you.
Okay, so you might get away with it, so to speak.
Externally, maybe. But he says the evil feeling you create inside yourself by doing that deed, that starts to fester in your soul immediately. And that will make you suffer. The punishment isn't some external force. It's the immediate psychological rot you've just created inside yourself.
Wow. So the damage is to the doer first.
The doer first. It completely reframes justice. It's not some slow court system. It's an immediate spiritual consequence.
And other traditions say the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Indian wisdom sharpens the timeline even more. It suggests if you set out to do evil in the morning, it'll come back to you by nightfall. The consequence is that fast. And St. Augustine really grounds it. He says the evildoer harms himself first before he even harms anyone else. The real punishment is the person you become when you choose cruelty.
You're building your own prison, choice by choice.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, so if the dark stuff creates this internal rot, what's the positive side of that boomerang? The alchemy that turns an injury into something good.
Well, that brings us to this just beautiful, sublime quote from Mark Twain on forgiveness.
I love this one.
He said, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it."
That requires an almost superhuman level of self-mastery, doesn't it? To be crushed, to be the violet, and to respond with fragrance instead of, resentment.
It's the ultimate act of inner leadership. See, when most people get hurt, their first instinct is to look outward, right? Demand justice, demand an apology.
Sure.
Twain's principle says no. You turn inward first. You decide that the injury will not be the thing that defines your internal state. You choose generosity over bitterness. And then the only thing that boomerangs back to you is the fragrance.
Okay, so that self-sovereignty, that ability to govern your own internal state, that's the foundation. And that leads right to the second rung, recognizing the only territory we govern.
Yes. This is the great time and energy saver, isn't it? Just accepting what you can actually control
And what you can't.
and what you can't. The Dhammapada, the Buddhist teachings, just cuts right through it with total clarity. Every man has power only over himself. That's it. That's the rule.
So if you're spending all your energy trying to control your boss or the stock market or the traffic.
You're just exhausting yourself on an impossible task.
Yeah.
And your mind becomes chaotic because it's constantly failing. The real power is in governing your response, your preparation. That's the only territory you can actually rule.
But it sounds a bit solitary, like it's all just an internal project. But the sources seem to say that winning over yourself is how you influence others.
That's the great paradox of victory. Tolstoy says it plainly. Those who gain victory over themselves will gain victory over others. It's the hardest win, but it's the one that matters.
How does that work in practice?
Well, think about it. If people see that you are absolutely sovereign over your own emotions, your own actions, they naturally grant you authority. You become what you teach, not by lecturing, but by just embodying that self-mastery.
And this all ties into preparation.
Perfectly. We have this quote from Wayne Short. Everyone has the desire to win, but only champions have the desire to prepare. Preparation is just self-sovereignty in action. It's doing the hard, invisible work when no one's watching.
You can't fake prep.
No, you can't. Self-discipline in private reveals itself in public. And if you master that internal territory, you become unshakable when the pressure's on. Which brings us right into the messy reality of modern life.
And the perfect segue to rung number 3, presence and the double opportunity. Because time scarcity is the thing everyone complains about, right? Always stretched, always needing to optimize.
And for this, we go to Bill Simmons, the writer, podcaster, CEO. He's like the perfect example of the overscheduled modern parent.
Right, and his daughter Zoe was on a travel soccer team.
Which, in Southern California, means one thing. Traffic. Soul-crushing, horrible traffic. Weekend spent just sitting on the freeway.
Most people would just see that as lost time. A total waste.
And that's what's so brilliant. He realized he wouldn't trade those drives. Why? Because the traffic, the car, it created a double opportunity. He had his daughter trapped in the car with him.
Trapped, yeah. No screens, no friends to distract her.
Exactly. It was this forced, concentrated period of connection. He used that time to really check in, not just about practice, but the deep stuff, school, friends, how she's feeling about the world.
So he turned a logistical nightmare into a moment of real presence.
That's the key insight. The insight isn't about time management. It's about your mental state. Time itself is neutral. It's only wasted by your absence from the moment.
When you're fully present, you can find those double opportunities everywhere.
Everywhere. It's the jogging stroller, right? You get to exercise and be with your kid. It's doing chores together to teach responsibility. The necessary task becomes the relational task.
And of course, this modern idea has ancient roots.
Of course. It links directly back to Lao Tzu, who said, in family life, be completely present, not just physically in the room while your mind is on your emails. Completely there.
Which requires intense focus, especially when life moves so fast.
He does. J.S. Park reminds us life is as fast as a spoken word. It's precious. The speed demands that we're intentional. If you're not present, you just miss it. The opportunity is gone.
Okay, so if the foundation is self-mastery and the material we're working with is presence, we have to look at the internal fuel, the inputs, which brings us to the next step. Generosity, simplicity, and clarity.
And we have to start with generosity to yourself. The sources say be generous with yourselves. But people get this wrong all the time. They think it means, indulgence.
Yeah, like another glass of wine or buying something you don't need.
Right. Addictive stuff that actually depletes you. True self-generosity is often the hard choice. It's choosing sleep over another hour of work. It's giving yourself rest and grace.
So you have enough in the tank to give to others.
You can't give grace if you haven't given it to yourself. It's impossible. If you're internally harsh and exhausted, that's what leaks out into your leadership, into your parenting. You can't be the violet-shedding fragrance if you're festering from self-neglect.
So once you have that internal grace, the focus shifts to protecting your mind. And that's where simplicity comes in.
And Lao Tzu gives us this incredible blueprint for simplicity, he says. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In work, do what you enjoy.
Let's unpack that first one. Live close to the ground. Is that literal?
I think it's more of a metaphor. It's about avoiding unnecessary complexity. When your home is simple, your mind is clearer. When your thinking is simple, you make decisions faster. You avoid that paralysis of trying to weigh 30 different variables. Simplicity is a tool for action.
And that simple, thoughtful input connects right to the need for clarity, especially now in our culture of instant reaction.
Oh, absolutely. We have this amazing African proverb. A wise man fills his head before emptying his mouth. That is just critical tactical wisdom for today.
It's the perfect antidote to the hot take, the need to have an immediate opinion on everything.
The modern temptation is to empty an unfilled head, to just react, to criticize without any pause or reflection. The wise person practices a radical pause. They fill their head first, and that quiet space allows them to see things clearly.
And it's that quiet-filled mind that can see opportunity where everyone else is seeing a problem.
That is the big payoff. Vinod Khosla says, any problem is an opportunity. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. But you can't see that if your mind is anxious and cluttered. A cluttered mind only sees threats. A simple, calm mind sees possibility.
Which brings us to the very top of the ladder, the final, definitive choice in inner leadership: action versus interruption.
All the other rungs lead here. It's the final choice. Are you going to be the doer, the builder, or are you going to be the critic, the spectator, the one who interrupts?
There's that great anonymous line.
Yes. The person who says it cannot be done should not interrupt the person doing it.
It's a pretty harsh but necessary challenge to that modern tendency to just sit back and analyze instead of actually doing the work.
I think so. Because leadership is fundamentally about creation, about doing. If you've mastered your internal world, you become the person who is actually doing the hard, simple, present work. And the critic just becomes irrelevant.
But we have to bring it back to rest, because pure, relentless action just leads to burnout, and that undoes everything.
Exactly. Action has to be balanced with strategic withdrawal. Plato said the mind ought to be diverted sometimes so it can return to better thinking. Rest isn't lazy. It's a non-negotiable part of preparation. You can't think better if you're always exhausted.
Sometimes just showing up and staying present is the victory for the day.
It is. One of our sources says sometimes even to live is an act of courage. To just show up, be present, and do the quiet internal work when the world is chaotic and loud.
So let's try and synthesize this ladder of inner leadership we've just climbed.
Let's do it. So first, it starts with the understanding that self-mastery is the only mastery. You only have power over yourself. That's step one.
Second, you have to accept the boomerang principle. Your inner states create your outer reality. The good and the bad, it starts inside you first.
The third rung is presence. Time is only wasted by your absence. You have to hunt for that double opportunity, like Bill Simmons in the car.
Fourth, you cultivate the inputs. Generosity with yourself so you can be generous with others, and simplicity in your thinking to protect yourself from chaos.
And finally, the highest rung, choosing action over interruption. Be the person doing the thing. And remember that rest is part of the work.
This whole deep dive, it really boils down to this one silent truth. We teach the world how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. The curriculum isn't written down, it's just embodied in how you govern yourself day to day.
So given all this, here's a provocative thought for you to take with you from day 323. What silent curriculum are you teaching the world through your own self-governance? Are you demonstrating mastery? Are you filling your head before you speak? Are you practicing complete presence in those small overlooked moments? Start there and just watch how the world around you starts to reflect that internal order.